Questions come into the radio show all the time here at Check a Pro, and this question is actually something that my wife and I argue about all the time, so I'm sure Nathan Shafer from Shafer Heating and Cooling will get a chuckle out of this, and that is, where should we have the thermostat in the winter and or the summer? My wife and I, Nathan, have totally different systems inside, like our blood's different, right?
Yeah.
And so in the wintertime, she's like, "Can we turn the heat up?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? It's 62 degrees in here. What's wrong with that?" She's like, "I want it to be like 72." I'm like, "Okay, just put a sweater on." Nope, she wants to turn the heat up. And then in the summer, we have similar issues with the air conditioning. So the question that's come in is, what is a normal temperature range for my thermostat? I'm going to say, before you answer this question, it's not an easy question to answer, but there's a lot of things that come from it. You can save money by lowering your thermostat in the winter, for instance, because it will fire on less to heat. Opposite is true in the summertime. And humidity plays a role. So let's get into this. What is the normal temperature? What should it be?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think we might get into like a counseling session here or something. I don't know if I want to go to that with you and your wife, but no, that's common, right? And it's the same for my wife and I. At night, I mean, I've got a sheet on and she's got three blankets on. We're trying to meet that in the happy medium, right? Because same type of deal. And so really coming down, obviously, between the two and finding that the middle point and or just go with the temperature that she likes. But at the same time, is there a set temperature that's perfect? As far as operational standpoint, not necessarily. I'd say most commonly, if you used to pick a year-round temperature that we find most common to be around 70. But you'll see that differ some from summer to winter and obviously age, men, women, different things. Like you mentioned though a second ago, the humidity, as you start playing with that temperature, trying to figure out and you might find throughout the year, like, man, it's weird in the summertime. Maybe 70 just feels really kind of sticky and hot. I find myself turning it down to 69, 68, 67 to feel comfortable. But man, in the wintertime, at that same 70, like I feel like I'm freezing cold and I'm turning it up to 72, 73, 74.
Mm,
And a lot of that is not the temperature. The temperature 70 is 70, right? You're using the same thermostat, the same system. It's got the same sensor. It's 70 both times of the year, but the reason it feels so much different is because of the humidity level in the home, the RH level. And so for every 5% in humidity feels like a degree difference in temperature. And so for, us here in our area in Southern Ohio, we get very humid in the summertime and that we have a heating season. There's furnaces, the heat pumps, whatever system you have that's heating, a forced air system, it's running a lot in the wintertime. It's drying out the heat. And so 70, as you can imagine, at let's say 30% relative humidity compared to 70 at 60% relative humidity, that's a 30% difference in humidity level, which is going to feel like 5 degrees difference in temperature. I'm sorry, 6 degrees difference in temperature. For every 5% in RH is 1 degree in temperature feel to us. So there's where you're getting your big swing, 6 degree difference, but it's still set at 70, but the way it feels to you. So humidity is going to play a huge, huge factor into the way that it feels, which is going to help you find that perfect temperature in your home. And obviously, there's ways to control that humidity levels in the home to keep it at an ideal, healthy, comfortable relative humidity level in the home year round.
so there's a lot there.
There is a
Um,
lot there.
it's easier to live alone. That's the moral. I'm kidding.
And we're going back into the counseling, the therapy side. Yeah.
um, and it gets even more complicated when you have multiple people living in the home. Kids is one thing because you can dictate and mandate, and you're like, this is the way it is. And if you're cold, put a sweater on. That's what my parents always told me. They're like,
Yeah.
put a sweater on, put on more socks, or even better yet, go out and play. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
um, but with adults living in the house, the problem is everybody wants to have what they want, right? And
Mhm.
it can be tricky. So the humidity thing is a big deal, and people don't understand that, but I think you made it quite clear. Generally in the summertime, the humidity is going to feel higher, um, for a few reasons, but one reason is in the winter when you're burning something to make heat, that heat's really gonna eat up that
Mm.
humidity, and it's gonna give us dry skin and so forth. Some people will put a humidifier in to humidify the air,
Mhm.
which is great. And then in the summertime, they may have dehumidifiers, especially in a
Mhm.
basement, or maybe even in the house. But of course, the AC system, if it's running properly, will draw out that humidity. But you're right, 70 degrees in January is not 70 degrees in July. That's a lot. That's really hard for people to understand.
Yeah. It is still 70 degrees, but it feels
Well,
different. Yeah, with the humidity, yeah.
so okay,
It
so it's
feels
like
like way different, yeah.
so it's like someone's reality of something.
Right, exactly.
Their perception is reality. So
Right.
the perception is it's not it's not 70 in the winter like it is in the summer. Yes, numerically, scientifically, 70 is 70, but when you throw in humidity and dew points and so forth, it changes everything. That's why
100%.
sometimes when it's 30 degrees, you may get freezing rain. You're like, how's that? Why isn't it snowing? Or you may get snow at 34 degrees. How is
Mhm.
that? It depends on what's going on in the atmosphere.
Right.
The home is kind of similar, just, kind of depends. And it's it's important to understand that you're going to have to set your thermostat to what is comfortable. And
Mm,
comfort has to do with not just the temperature, but the humidity level. So let me throw this out at you. Let's say in the winter time, you wanted to add some humidity. That then makes a difference too in that feel temperature. So you set it to 70, but that 70 feels a little different than it does in the summertime. But when you add humidity, if you wanted to do that, which you can,
mhm.
a few different ways. Some people do it room by room. It all of a sudden changes your comfort level.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I remember, like, imagine, I mean, most houses, in our area here, um, when they're heating it in, let's say, January, for example, right? The system's running a lot. It's not uncommon to see houses down 20 to 30% humidity level in the house. That's
Mm,
super dry. They got dry skin, they got static, they got bloody noses, sore throats, coughs, they get sicker, like there's a whole bunch of stuff that ties into our health. The woodwork starts shrinking, all these different things. If you install a whole home humidifier and you change that humidity level up to, let's say, we'll just say 40%, that's a 10% increase from 30 to 40. Now it's going to go from feeling like 70 to 72. Huge difference. You picture going out here in the summertime and it's 80 degrees and it's humid, you're sweating like crazy, compared to going to Arizona and it's 80 degrees and you're like, man, I could almost wear a long sleeve shirt with that slight breeze. Like, yeah, it's all because of the humidity levels and the difference that it feels from the dryness, and or the wetness of the air from that humidity.
yeah, absolutely. It really makes a huge difference. Nathan, as always, thank you so much for shedding light on a topic that most people don't understand. I'm still trying to get my head around it, and I've been dealing with this for a long time, and I've just learned whatever the wife wants, we're good, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, good luck with that
Yeah,
tonight. Yeah, yeah. Hope tonight you win and you get to set that temperature where you want.
yeah, I do as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you.